You are welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Samantha Lazarus, your favorite English and writing coach. Welcome to this essential guide on public speaking. Public speaking is a skill that can have a profound impact on your personal and professional life. Whether you're a student, a professional, or someone looking to improve your communication abilities, understanding the common mistakes to avoid in public speaking is crucial. And in this video, we are going to explore 12 important public speaking mistakes that can hinder your effectiveness as a speaker and offer insights on how you can avoid them. These pitfalls can make the difference between a successful presentation and it can tell you the one that is unsuccessful or the one that is flat. So, let's get started with an overview of public speaking. Public speaking is the skill and art of standing in front of people or group of people using spoken words. That is, it is not limited to spoken words though. You can use your body language as well to convey a message, share information, persuade, entertain, or inspire. It is a form of communication that goes beyond everyday conversations, as it involves addressing an audience with a specific purpose in mind. This means that for every talk you give, for every speech you make, you have a purpose that you want to achieve. Is it to entertain? Is it to share information? Is it to persuade? Is it to inspire? You need to have a purpose for your speech. So before you start preparing your slides, before you start preparing your teaching material, you need to define your purpose. What is my purpose for this talk? So when you know your purpose, it will be easier for you to speak in line with that purpose. As well, public speaking is a process of designing, that is, coming up with something and delivering a message. It is a process, that is, there are some stages you need to pass through. There are certain stages you need to go through. You have to design, that is, coming up with your outline for the message, and you deliver the message to an audience. It is the act of effectively communicating with an audience via oral means or other means. When I say oral means, by your speeches. When I say other means, maybe you're using a slide, using a presentation, a document for presentation, you're using your body language, your gestures, your facial expressions, etc. All that matters is that you designed, you outline your message, and you deliver your message. Simply put, public speaking is speaking publicly, that is, speaking to people other than yourself, which is when you speak to people other than yourself. So if you were asked, what is public speaking? You can just say, public speaking is speaking publicly, which means when you speak to people other than yourself. And it also involves you designing your message, coming up with your message. It is a process where you come up with your message and you deliver the message. So public speaking is also called oration or oratory. If you don't want to call it public speaking, you can call it oration or oratory. And we have a public speaking tree, which is the sender, the message, the means, the receiver. Let me quickly go over this. The sender, the person delivering the speech, the person delivering the presentation, the message the speaker is delivering. The means, the options or the ways in which the speaker is delivering it. Is it through is it offline, that is physical? Is it online? Are you using slides? Are you speaking physically? Are you using audio, maybe on radio, etc.? So that is the means. And the receiver is your audience, the people listening to you. So every speaking must have a message, and every public speaking must have an audience. If you don't have the audience you want to speak to, it will look somehow, because why should you speak when you don't have anyone listening to you? So your public speaking must have audience. It should have a set of people you are referring to, or a group of people you are referring to. At the same time, it must have a message that you're trying to pass across, whether it is to inform, to persuade, to entertain, to inspire. What that matters is that you're passing across a message. Effective communication is a fundamental skill in today's world. It can boost your career, enhance your leadership abilities, and help you connect with others on a deeper level. Whether you are speaking to a small group or a large audience, the principles of public speaking remains the same. The kind of energy you use for when you're speaking or when you're teaching 10 people should be the same energy you would use when you're speaking to 100 people. Do not say because the audience is not up to your standard or because the audience, the numbers are kind of little, you now reduced your energy, you're not really forthcoming. No, the kind of energy, the way you speak when you're having a conversation or when you're speaking to 100 of people or thousands of people, you have to do the same when you're speaking to the audience that is little, maybe 20 or 5 people. The first mistake we make is the lack of research and content preparation. Effective public speaking begins with thorough research and well structured content. You have an outline and it is thorough. This is where many speakers stumble. Many people underestimate the power of groundwork and preparation. When you're not prepared, your public speaking or your speech will be disorganized and you will not convince your listeners or your audience. So when you fail to research and prepare your content, several problems can arise. You can give inaccurate information. Without proper research, you may present inaccurate or outdated information, and this will not only undermine or destroy your credibility, it can also misinform your audience. It will give a bad reputation of you. It can also lead to incoherent flow. When you lack presentation, it can result in a speech with disjointed flow. That is, the audience will be confused, they will be surprised, they won't even know what you're trying to say. So you need to put that into mind. Difficulty in engagement, it becomes less challenging to engage your audience when you're not even sure about the content. What do you want to say? I believe in one saying, and I say it almost all the time, that you cannot give what you don't have. You don't have the content, you cannot give it. So listeners can sense your uncertainty, which would diminish their trust in your message. They would lose interest, and before you could gain back their interest or their trust, it may take a while, and it may not even happen in that presentation. If you want to avoid this mistake, you can start by immersing yourself in the subject matter. You can read books. That is where preparation comes in. Prepare, read books, read articles, watch relevant videos, take notes and organize your findings. And now you can now proceed to create a clear outline with a logical sequence of points. You have to ensure a smooth transition between these points, because if you do not do this, you may fumble as you move on. When you have a great content and you've prepared for it, it will help you to be more knowledgeable about the content and to also enhance your confidence in front of your audience because you know what you are saying. Another mistake is overloading your audience with information. We know that researching is essential and it is beautiful, but there is a fine line between providing valuable information and overwhelming your audience. Here is why it is problematic. Your audience is overwhelmed when you say too much information, or when the pieces of information you're passing across is just overwhelming. The audience will be overwhelmed. Too much information at once can overwhelm your audience. They might struggle to process and retain what you're saying. So you have to take it one step at a time. Pieces of information overload can dilute your core message. It will lead to a lack of focus. Your audience may leave the presentation without a clear takeaway, and you do not want that. At the back of your mind, for every presentation you have, you should have a tenet, or you should have something you want them to take away. Overloading your audience with information can also decrease engagement. When you use heavy or complex sentences, it can lead to increase in disengagement. Your listeners may not be interested. You will lose out. You just giving them different facts, figures, and everything. It will most likely bore them. To avoid this mistake, You have to focus on the quality of information rather than the quantity. Sometimes you say less is more. What is the quality of your information compared to the quantity? Select key points that support your message and ensure they are relevant to your audience. Make use of visual words, make use of stories to illustrate your point effectively. And you keep it in mind that it's better to leave your audience wanting more than to make them feel suffocated with too much of information. Ignoring your audience is also a mistake. Public speaking is not a one-way thing. It's not you and you alone. It is dynamic. It is a dynamic exchange between the speaker and the audience. When you ignore the audience, you are making a grave mistake. It is wrong. When you do this, when you do not engage with your audience, you disregard your audience interests and concerns. But your audience are your listeners, the receivers of your messages, by the way. So your message will fall on their deaf ears because they are not likely to pay attention to when they feel that the content is relevant to them. So when you are invited to speak, you can try to narrow down the topic a little. Fostering a sense of connection with your audience can be achieved through interaction. So when you interact with your audience, it will make them feel involved, valued, and create for them a more memorable experience. If you want to receive feedback from your audience, you have to carry them along. You have to make it interactive. Because ignoring your audience means you will miss out on valuable feedback. When they listen to you, after they listening to you, they won't tell you, oh, I love this, I learned a lot. They will just move away because they do not understand really. And for someone like me, if I don't enjoy your presentation, I may not feed you back properly. I give constructive feedback. So if I don't really enjoy your presentation, I'll just tell you, oh, I love it, it's good. I won't really go deep. So that is just it. Because this feedback can help you to adapt and improve your future presentation. And to overcome this mistake, get to know your audience before your speech. Are you speaking to students? Are you speaking to professionals? When you know that, you'll be able to tailor your speech to fit into their expectation. So understand their background, their interest. During your presentation, you maintain eye contact, you ask questions, you encourage participation, and you tailor your content to address their needs, concerns, and make them feel like their time with you is well spent. They're not wasting their time. The fourth mistake is speaking too quickly. One of the most common pitfalls in public speaking is speaking too quickly. Recently, I made a post on Facebook on fluency. So people attribute fluency to you being able to speak fast. No. When you speak too quickly, you are most likely going to make extraneous mistakes and mistakes that are needless. So speak in your pace. You don't have to rush or try to imitate anyone. When nerves or excitement takes over, the pace of a speech can accelerate unintentionally. You can speak faster naturally when you're so excited, and this can lead to a range of problems like your audience not comprehending what you're saying, because when you speak too fast, it makes it difficult for them to follow your train of thought. So they might miss out important points or lose interest because you're speaking too fast. So you have to speak in your pace. When you speak too fast, it can lead to nervousness. It can make your audience feel so uneasy and anxious. You have to speak at your pace. Too fast or speedy delivery can also lack necessary pauses and emphasis on key points. So by doing this, you make your speech less impactful. If you want to get rid of this, you have to practice slowing down your speech during rehearsals. Slowing down, taking a break. Use deliberate pauses to give your audience a time to absorb what you are saying. Pay attention to your breathing. Don't breathe too high or don't breathe in a way that it's so obvious that you are struggling. And aim for a relaxed and steady pace. It might feel slow to you, but it is usually right for your audience to process your information comfortably. The fifth mistake is fidgeting and distracting gestures. Body language plays a significant role in public speaking, and one common mistake is fidgeting or using distracting gestures. You have to take charge of your body language. When you fidget too much or you are using distracting gestures, it will distract your audience attention from your message and will focus on you. It can improve or amplify your nervousness. It will make it obvious that you are nervous, and it will also impede or reduce your credibility. People most times they tend to judge you by your presentations. That is just the fact. If you want to get rid of this, if you want to avoid this, practice mindful body language. Be aware of your movements and gestures during your rehearsals. If you notice that you have the habit of moving or playing with objects or excessive hand movements, you can work on reducing them. And with this, you can purposefully support your message to make sure that your message is not lacking in any aspect that you want, and that can also enhance your audience concentration on the message. The sixth mistake is lack of eye contact. Eye contact, I'm not saying you have to look into their eyes and make them feel so uncomfortable. No, that is not the case. You're just looking at them, smiling, maintaining the eye contact in a way that they would know that you are following them and they are following you. Maintaining eye contact with your audience is a fundamental aspect of effective public speaking, because when you fail to do so, it can impact your connection with your listeners, because maintaining eye contact is a way of building connection with your listeners. When you do not maintain eye contact with your audience, when you avoid making eye contact, it can lead to disconnection or make your audience lose their interest in you. It can also lead to the lack of engagement and trust, but in all, disconnection is one of the main repercussions of not maintaining the proper eye contact. The repercussion is loss of audience attention. You lose their attention because they may drift their attention away mentally. They will be looking at you, but it will be evident that they are not with you. It will also lead to effectiveness of your message. Your eye contact helps to convey sincerity and conviction, but when you do not maintain eye contact with your audience, it may lead to insincerity. To win over this mistake, you have to practice maintaining eye contact with different sections of your audience. You cannot look at everybody at once. You can quickly divide the auditorium or hall into different zones and spend a few seconds looking at each one. This will create the perception that you are engaging with everyone, and it will help you to build this kind of credibility with your audience. Another mistake is overcrowded slides. Let's assume you're making a presentation and you're making use of PowerPoint or slides. Don't overcrowd it. It can overwhelm your audience. It can make them lose clarity. That is, it can make them lose understanding of your point. It can also lead to boredom. That is, when your text is too much or it is cluttered, it can bore your audience. If you want to grab the attention of your audience through your slides, you can keep it clean and concise. Use it. You don't have to use it at all times, but if you want to use it, keep it brief. Use your bullet points. The slides should complement your speech and not replicate it. Just as I'm doing now, you can discover that some of the things I'm saying are not on the slides. So it should complement your speech and not replicate it, because making it as a replica might discombobulate your audience. You should be able to glance the slide at once and quickly understand its main message. Another mistake is not being prepared for questions. Question and answer session is a critical part of many presentation, and not being prepared might impede your message. It might lead to loss of credibility. You might fumble or you evade questions because you do not really understand it or you're not prepared for it. So it will lead to a loss of credibility. It will lead to missed opportunities. Failing to anticipate potential questions means you might miss opportunity to reinforce your message or clarify the main points. Your audience will be disappointed in you too if you fail to respond to their questions or your response is not clear enough. To abstain from this kind of mistake, you have to prepare for the question and answer session as diligently as you prepare for your speech. Anticipate the kind of questions you think they might ask, and formulate concise and clear answers. If you don't have an answer to a question, you don't have to bluff. Instead, offer to follow up later with information. And being prepared for questions will also demonstrate your expertise and enhance your credibility as a speaker. Not being interactive is also another mistake. When you are not interactive, when you don't ask questions, when you don't carry them along, your audience will be passive. They would most likely lose their interest and their attention become divided. You would miss the connection you need to have. When you are interactive, to foster a connection between you and your audience, it will make them feel this sense of belonging. If the presentation is not interactive, you may not receive feedback. Now, interactive in the sense that I'm not saying you need to now keep asking irrelevant questions. You can just ask, are you with me? Do you understand? You can simply ask, who has experienced this before? Who has done this before? It's just a way of asking them questions that are rhetorical. To escape from this mistake, encourage audience participation and ask questions. You can use polls in the online setting. You can invite volunteers to the space. Just interact with your audience through eye contact, body language, and questions. It will help to keep your audience active all through your presentation. Letting nerves get the best of you. Even the best of speakers, they still feel nervous. It's kind of normal when it comes to public speaking, especially when you're speaking to the audience you have never spoken to before. So being nervous is quite normal, but don't let it get the best of you. Don't let it overwhelm you, because if it does, you will make a mistake, and that would kind of affect your presentation. It will also lead to decreased confidence. When you are nervous, it will be so obvious, and your confidence will be decreased. Ineffectiveness, I omitted a word there. Ineffectiveness, it can impair your ability to articulate your ideas clearly, making your message less effective, and you do not want that to happen. It might also discomfort your audience, because when a speaker is visibly nervous, it can make the audience uncomfortable as well. To overcome this mistake, practice relaxation techniques and visualization before your speech. Focus on your breathing and remind yourself of your expertise on this topic. You can do it. If you cannot do it, you will not be invited to speak. So you can do it. Get on with it. Just get on with it. You can do it. If you cannot do it, the host will not invite you. So as well, when you are gradually exposed to public speaking, it will fade away with time. So embrace this nervousness as a sort of excitement rather than fear. Instead of being scared, take it as being excited, and trust me, you will do well. Not keeping to time or going over time is also a major mistake. When you just keep speaking, some people, you'll be told your time has elapsed, you still keep on speaking. No, you don't have to do that. There was a particular class or lecture or speaking engagement that I had. I was almost over the time. I had to tell the host and the audience that I think I need to stop. But they told me to go on. That's a different case, because they permitted me. But in the case that you're not permitted, the moderator came, gave you a piece of paper telling you your time is up, but you did not step down. Oh no, that is not fair. It's like you're disrespecting your host and the audience. It can also disrupt the plan and schedule of the events, and it will also make your speech less winded, less impactful rather. If you have 30 minutes, just so that you want to speak for 30 minutes, if you are going to emphasize 2 points or 3 points, it is fine. You don't have to go overboard. Finally, encourage engagement from the audience. When you do not encourage engagement of the audience, even at the end of your presentation, it is a mistake. Without encouraging engagement, your audience may leave without interacting further or seeking additional information. You can, if you want to prompt engagement, maybe 5 minutes out of your time, you can use it to ask questions from them. What are the main points we learned today? We learned this, we learned that. Can we all say this together? So that is it. Loss of connection. Failing to invite comments, questions, or feedback can also weaken the connection you have built with your audience. It can also lead to stagnation because your communication will just be one way thing, and you won't have the opportunity to go for further discussion. And to evade this mistake, that is to get rid of this, you have to conclude your presentation by inviting your audience to participate, encourage questions, comments, or sharing of personal experiences to the related topic. When you do this, you help your audience to foster a sense of community and ongoing dialogue and a sense of belonging amongst your audience. Thank you for watching this video. If you find it impactful and useful, kindly share this with your friends, with your colleagues, and make sure you put into practice all the tips, all the strategies that I mentioned in this video.